Hello and welcome to video lecture series in political science. Today we are going to discuss chapter 1 titled as Political Theory and Introduction from your class 11th political science textbook Political Theory. For understanding, we have divided this chapter into two parts. In the previous part of this chapter, we discussed about definition of political science, we discussed about what are political institutions, what is political philosophy, and what is meant by politics in everyday life. We also discussed about what do political scientists study and why do we need to study political systems. In today's lecture class, we'll discuss about political theory in greater details. Now, as you know, that political science is defined as a branch of knowledge that deals with the state and systems of government. It is a scientific study or analysis of political activity and political behavior. Now, after looking at the various ways in which these terms such as political science, political institutions or political philosophy and politics are defined, let us understand why do we study political theory and what do we study in political theory. Political theory as a subset of political science attempts to or tries to analyze some basic questions. Questions such as how society should be organized, why do we need a government, what is the role of the government? How should we choose a leader or someone who governs us? What should be the role of the governor? What is the best form of government? Does law limit our freedom? Or what are our rights and duties, and many other such questions. Political theory in a systematic manner deals with ideas, principles and values that shape social life, constitution of life and governments. It attempts to understand meaning of concepts like what is meant by freedom, what is justice, what is equality, what is secularism and democracy, and various such other concepts. Since societies are always changing and so are its social, economic and political institutions. Political theory tends to see what principles and values guide these changes and determine the structure of institutions that shape our society or compose our society. Modern societies have enshrined these values in their constitutions. Constitutions do not emerge overnight. You cannot think of coming up with a constitution in a short span of time. They are a result of centuries of debates and discussions about ideals and principles that must be adopted in order to give citizens their due in any given society or nation. Many such ideas and debates have been contributed by many philosophers. To name some, like Kautilya or Chanakya, Aristotle, Rousseau, Gandhi, Bhimrao Ambedkar and Karl Marx. Now, back in about 5th century CE, Common Era, Plato and Aristotle held a debate on the subject of monarchy and democracy, and they argued which one is better. In modern era, Rousseau argued about freedom as fundamental right of the mankind. Similarly, if we talk about Karl Marx, he stated that equality is as crucial as freedom of the individual. Mahatma Gandhi spoke about Swaraj, and Dr. Ambedkar fought for the rights and equality of the downtrodden sections of society, that is scheduled caste. And the Constitution of India represents all these ideals in totality. Preamble of Constitution of India enshrines freedom and equality. The chapter on rights of individual abolishes untouchability in any form, in theory or practice. Gandhian principle finds a place in the directive principles. Political theory studies the significance of principles such as rule of law, separation of powers within the state, it studies judicial review, etc. Political theorists also reflect upon the current political experiences, the identity trends and the possibilities for the future developments. You might be thinking that we have already achieved freedom and India is a democracy. So is political theory still relevant? Why do we need to study it? The answer is yes, it is still relevant. For example, although equality may exist in political sphere in the form of equal rights given to all individuals, but it may not exist in the economic or social sphere to the same extent. People are discriminated in everyday life on the basis of their caste or economic status. Some people are privileged while others are deprived. Some people have more rights while others do not have those many rights. Thus, freedom and equality, despite being guaranteed by the Constitution of India, remain a distant dream. In the changing circumstances, the meaning and interpretation of basic principles and values is being constantly done. For example, the right to life has been interpreted by the court now to include the right to livelihood, the right to information also, right to education, and right to food security. These have been granted through new laws in our society, that is RTI, Right to Information, Right to Education, RTE, and National Food Security Act. Now, societies, while changing, encounter new challenges which generate a new demand for newer interpretations. The fundamental rights guaranteed by our Constitution have been amended and expanded over time. Through what? Through judicial interpretations and government policies, which are designed to address the new challenges and problems that humanity is facing. In the changing world, humanity is confronting new forms of freedom along with new threats to freedom also. Now, what do we mean by this? New forms of freedom and new threats to freedom. For example, information and communication technology has made our lives easier. How? By giving us access to internet or network with which people all over the world are connected to one another. But it also enables terrorists and criminals to use these networks for anti-social and anti-human activities. Many of you might have experienced or have bought something online, doing online shopping or marketing. But we also want that this information that we provide about ourselves online should be protected. Like credit card numbers or passwords should not be made open to others. So on one hand, people do not want control over net or censorship on net. But at the same time, they want some kind of control over some other people having access to your information. They know that some kind of regulation is required to safeguard individual security and privacy. Now, political theory attempts to find answers to such problems or questions. Questions like, how much freedom should be given to people using the internet is debated. Should they be allowed to send unsolicited emails to strangers or exchange private information? Can you advertise your products online? Should government be allowed to read private emails to track down the antisocial activities done by the terrorists? How much regulation is justified and who should regulate, government or some independent regulator? In this book called as Political Theory, we will deal with the origin or meaning and significance of some of the important political ideas. Ideas such as freedom, equality, justice, development, nationalism, secularism, and citizenship. One important aspect of all these concepts that we are going to study in political theory is that these concepts are contested concepts. What do we mean by contested concepts? Contested concepts mean that there is no single definition of these terms or concepts. Political scientists or social scientists do not have an agreement over how to define these concepts. Say, for example, how to define secularism, or for that matter, how to define religion. Political theorists debate and clarify the meaning of political concepts by looking at how they are understood and are used in ordinary language in everyday life. They debate and examine diverse meanings and interpretations of these concepts in a systematic manner. Like, if we talk of equality, what is equality? When is equality of opportunity enough? When do people need special treatment to be treated as equal? How long should such special treatments be given? Say, for example, reservation for how many years? Political theorists argue and debate about everyday perceptions, opinions, and possible meaning of these concepts and identify various ways in which these principles can be ensured, and they guide and feed policy options available to the government. Now, let us look at the importance or significance of studying political theory, or why we need to study the political theory. You may think that political theory is suitable for politicians who are into politics, or it is important for bureaucrats who make policies. It is important for judges or lawyers who interpret law or constitution, or it may be important for teachers who teach political theory, or for activists or journalists who bring about violation of these principles, expose exploitation and demand new set of rights. But why do we as a student need to know about ideas of freedom or equality? There are important reasons for you to know about these ideas and concepts. Practically speaking, let's understand why do we need to know this. Practically speaking, political theory is relevant for all these people. And one day you may also choose to be one of the professionals we just discussed. The concepts in political theory are basic building blocks of a healthy social organization and political organization. Knowing these concepts, their meanings and diverse interpretations helps us to improve them further and do good to maximum number of people in our society. Understanding the concept also helps us to bring into practice these concepts in real life. Like despite constitutional guarantee of equality, inequality exists in our society. There is inequality on the basis of caste, income, gender, region, religion and whatnot. Some members in the society do not have access to basic minimum, while others are having a privileged life. Despite that, the Indian Constitution guarantees the right to primary education. Many children and especially girls remain out of the formal system of education. That is, they do not go to schools. Why is this so? The answers are not simple, they are deep and complex. Government should evolve some mechanism to offer fair share to people from disadvantaged groups in the society or downtrodden sections of the society. Thus, given the nature and magnitude of inequality, you can imagine how difficult it is for us to define the concept of equality. Thus, equality is a contested concept. Secondly, we can say that all of you or all of us being citizens of a nation are entitled to choose our leaders by casting our vote in elections and decide about various issues directly or indirectly. To exercise our rights responsibly, it is important to have basic knowledge of political ideas and institutions that shape the society or the world we live in. By expressing our arbitrary preferences without proper knowledge, we may remain ineffective. If we are thoughtful and we act responsibly, we can use our right to vote to our best to form best governments or desirable governments that ensure our advancement. We can also make use of media to initiate changes, discuss ideas, concerns and common interest of people. For example, in modern times, a small event can attract international attention through social networking sites. A small protest at times become global in nature. There are ample of examples when people have sought help of social media to fight for a cause. Understanding of political theory helps us to be vigilant citizens and make politics more public-oriented and public-spirited. Another important significance of political theory lies in the fact that it helps us to moderate our extreme views also. What do we mean by this, moderating our extreme views? Ideas of freedom, equality and secularism are not abstract ideas. We experience these ideas in our daily life, everyday life. Say, have you ever experienced discrimination of any form in any sphere of life? Imagine if you have been discriminated. If we know about these concepts clearly, we can identify them clearly or relate our experiences to theory. And if someone tries to discriminate us, we can say, oh, we are being discriminated. In life, we tend to make very strong or subjective opinion about many concepts on the basis of our experience. If we are discriminated, we tend to be avengeful against those who discriminate us. But if we are privileged, we refuse to listen to anything even justified against us. A fair understanding of political theory helps us to form objective opinion about these values and moderate our extreme views. If we come to know about our rights, we also come to know what are our duties towards other people and our nation. Political theory also exposes us to systematic thinking about justice, equality. It refines our ideas in a formal fashion, in an academic fashion. All of us enjoy debating. We enjoy debates and discussions. You might also be participating in some discussions on the issues pertaining to politics in your school and colleges. All of us have opinion on what is right and what is wrong, what is just or unjust, what is reasonable or not reasonable. Knowledge of political theory helps us to debate rationally and communicate effectively to people. It helps us to form unbiased, objective opinion about issues and various concerns. It will help you to challenge taken for granted notions in society and see beyond what is observable. You might think difference between rich and poor people are obvious, but political theory will help you to understand the concept of inequality, exploitation, subjugation, and how it emerges from various other factors. Let us summarize what we discussed in this lecture. In this particular lecture, we discussed about political theory in detail, which means what do we mean by political theory, or why do we study political theory, and what do we study in political theory? How does political theory help us in bringing political theory into practice? This is beginning of political science for you, and this is the first chapter of your textbook called as political theory. Enjoy reading this chapter. Thank you.